You are listening to New Theory Radio. New Theory Radio.
Hello and welcome to another edition of New Theory Radio, here live on News Talk Saga 960 AM. My name is Nav Nanwa, I am your host, and this is the show where we theorize on all things current affairs, pop culture, and everyday life. Happy March to all of you. It is officially March 1st today. It is the start of my favorite month of the year. That's probably because my birthday's in March, but there's no biases here, obviously, here on New Theory Radio. But we do have a jam-packed edition of the show lined up for you here today on News Talk Saga 960 AM. First and foremost, I'm going to be joined by two amazing individuals to help me theorize on a couple of these topics. I got my homie from Stay Out Late, which is an awesome arts and culture collective that exists within the GTA. It is my good friend Jay Parks. He will be joining me, as well as from the Studio One show, which is a very popular music and entertainment show podcast that's actually recorded out of a studio that we use sometimes for New Theory Radio, which is Soho Innovation Lab. Jibril Osman, who is the creator of the Studio One show, will be joining me as well. And we are going to be theorizing about a bunch of different topics. Number one, we are going to be talking about the news that came out this week regarding Disney's CEO Bob Iger and the fact that he stepped down from his post as CEO after 14 years. And the move itself is somewhat surprising based on his successful track record with the company. So he was responsible for some of the big time acquisitions when it came to Lucasfilm, when it came to Disney, when it came to even most recently 21st Century Fox. But a lot of outlets are actually praising the way he went about this, because this is really a situation where somebody chose to leave while on top. So I'd love to get both Jay and Jibril to help me theorize about this topic in more details. I'd love to get their thoughts as to why they feel Bob did this, whether they agree with Bob doing this, and what are some of the pros and cons that sort of present themselves when you do decide to leave on top, and if there's any other similar situations in other industries that we can look at that were similar to the one that came out this week. As well, we are also going to be talking about the NBA's new deal with New Balance. So big news coming out of the sports world. New Balance inked a marketing partnership with the NBA. The strategy looks to be aligned to New Balance's current positioning around basketball, which actually started here locally in Toronto when Kawhi Leonard was a Raptor, and they used the whole Fun Guy campaign to really drive some traction on the New Balance brand. And despite all of this, there are people that still have a tough time really associating New Balance with basketball, as you know, a lot of people do consider New Balance as being the brand responsible for your dad's favorite sneakers. So I want to get both Jay and Jibril, because both of these individuals are very in tune with culture and just some of the things that go on a consistent basis when it comes to brands, companies, and artists and athletes. Just through theories on brands trying to align themselves with popular entities when rebranding. You know, is this the best way to go about it? Is New Balance partnering with the NBA going to skyrocket their sales? Will New Balance, with this move, have a reemergence in the apparel space, similar to one that we've seen most recently with Puma? And what are some other good or bad examples of things like this taking place in the past when it comes to rebrands and rebrands being focused on partnerships? So it'll be great to talk about that. And then we are also going to be talking about meditation music. RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan actually partnered with Tatso T to release a series of meditation hip-hop songs called Guided Explorations. The tracks were actually described by the Enemy as self-help advice over ambient soundscapes and mellow beats, which I thought was very unique. Love to get their thoughts on meditation music and this idea of self-care being brought into a type of music like hip hop. Is this a strong way to get a lot of listeners who listen to hip hop to start thinking about their mental health, start thinking about relaxation, start thinking about mindfulness practice? Is this a good way to maybe address some of the negative topics that currently take the forefront of hip-hop music when it comes to violence and drugs, that very self-destructive nature. Is this simply a marketing ploy, considering how smart the RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan is when it comes to really leveraging the Wu-Tang and his own personal brand to push different products forward? It'll be a great conversation about that. I'm looking forward to having it. And then a little later for our community segment, I'm actually going to be joined by a very esteemed individual in the world of music. She is known as the hip-hop violinist. She's actually going to be playing the Rose Theater in Brampton on March 13th. And she is someone that's actually somewhat responsible for one of my favorite albums of all time, and that is the College Dropout from Kanye West. That is Miri Ben-Ari, who is an Israeli violinist. She is known as the hip-hop violinist, and she is someone who has worked with many different artists. I mentioned Kanye West earlier. She's worked with Wyclef Jean. She's worked with Jay-Z. She's actually performed at the White House in front of First Lady Michelle Obama. She's dived into other genres like dance music, like Spanish music, as most recently even Afrobeats in Africa. She is super talented. I'm very honored to have her on the show. We're going to be talking about her upcoming show that's taking place at March 13th at the Rose Theater, so go get your tickets right now. But we're also going to be theorizing about the role live instrumentation plays in a medium like hip-hop. Now, hip-hop, for all of you enthusiasts, people that have been pure hip-hop fans since the dawn of time, a lot of the basis of hip-hop really dives into sampling, and really sampling was at the forefront of hip-hop music. But Marie, when she worked with an artist like Kanye West, she was one of the artists to really bring live instrumentation to the forefront. Now, before that, you did have bands like The Roots, and you had Arrested Development that also did the same thing. But hearing a sample that Kanye put together on his record College Dropout, and then allowing Marie to jump on that sample and play live violin was something very disruptive for that time. And we do get deep into that in further detail with Marie, and I'm super excited to share that conversation. All this and more on this week's edition of New Theory Radio. Thanks so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We are going to take a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we're going to be joined by Jay and Jibril, and we're going to be talking about Disney and the CEO stepping down here on News Talk, Saga 960 AM. And we are back here on New Theory Radio on News Talk Saga 960 AM. My name is Nav Nanwa. I am your host, and this is the show where we theorize on all things current affairs, pop culture, and everyday life. And it's about that time that we get theorizing here on today's show, and I'm very excited to welcome two guests that are going to be joining me for the next little bit. And we are going to be talking about a few topics from this week. But first, before we get into that, I'm going to welcome the person sitting on my left. He is one of the founders and lead individuals for the collective Stay Out Late, which not only does events, but they do music, they do clothing, they do a lot. And I'm so happy to welcome him back on the show is my homie Jay Parks. Jay, what's going on, man?
Yeah. What's up? Thanks for having me back.
Hey, man. I remember the last time we had Stay Out Late in studio. It was a fun time. I actually wanted to give you more mic time, but we just have to keep it rolling. But I'm glad that you're able to make some time for us here today. So it should be a good show.
Hell yeah. Actually, last time was dope because I normally get to speak on stuff.
Yeah.
I like to sit back and watch my artist flourish. So that was cool. That was awesome.
Awesome, man. It's a good moment. Yeah. It's a good moment. And then joining us as well is another individual. He is the obviously the host and the creator of the Studio 01 show.
Yeah.
And he is also someone who's very well connected in the local music scene. And I'm very excited to have him here joining us in studio. It is Jibril Osman for joining us here on New Theory Radio. Jibril, thanks so much, man.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Studio 1 is really great. I do that with Mike Liang, who films the show with me. And yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Awesome, man. I'm glad that the bus situation worked out because I know that was crazy.
Yeah, I'm from Wesley and Shepherd. Shout out North York. Shout out York Mills. Getting here was a mission and a half, but it's worth it.
Awesome, man. Awesome. But yeah, you know what, boys? Thanks so much for kind of coming through the show. I'm glad both you guys are able to make it because the weather also wasn't too great today. So let's just keep it rolling. And I want to start off by talking about Disney. So this week, Disney made some news. Their CEO Bob Iger Iger actually decided to step down as Disney CEO after being in the job for 14 years. But the move was somewhat surprising when you think about sort of the entertainment industry, because Bob was actually responsible for a lot under his tenure. He was responsible for the acquisitions of like Lucasfilms and Marvel. He also played a big role in what Disney Plus is, which we know is currently blowing up. And a lot of people are surprised, but in a good way, because this is a situation where someone steps down from a role after they've almost taken a company to its highest level, or one of its highest levels. And I'd love to get both of you guys to kind of theorize about that type of notion of leaving a post or leaving a job when you're at the peak of it, when you're at pretty much the highest level of success, and wanting to depart something and leave on top versus leave when things are not good, or being forced to leave. And we'd love to get your thoughts on whether you've seen things like this in other industries. But first and foremost, I guess I'll just get both your opinions. What is your thoughts on sort of the CEO of Disney making a move like this? And do you agree with this move? Maybe Jay will begin with you.
It's random. To be honest with you, off rip, because this is like the most lucrative Disney has ever been. That's saying a lot, because Disney is a monster.
Yeah, man.
But for a dude to do the whole Marvel initiative, to acquire Lucasfilms, which is, Star Wars is my thing.
Yeah.
And like, personally, no shots at Disney, but like Star Wars kind of fell off since they acquired it.
I haven't seen the last one. Was it good?
I haven't seen it either.
Oh, wow.
I haven't either.
Wow.
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't
That's
either.
crazy.
I'm afraid to watch it.
Crazy.
But and then Disney Plus being so huge, I feel like it's one of those things where, like, personally, I don't know much about Bob, but there are people out there that they're very challenge oriented, and if you achieve a goal you set in mind, maybe you felt like, I need something new. I need a new challenge because I've done it. Like, I made Disney the biggest corporation ever. Like, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that happens a lot with like record labels. Like they do a lot of like, what's that dude's name?
From where?
Shit. The dude that works at YouTube Music.
Oh,
Leo Cohen.
Yeah, Leo Cohen. Yeah.
These guys will build up like 300, and like they're doing amazing work, and then he's like, yeah, I'm done.
And then Leo once worked at Def Jam.
Exactly.
I think he once worked at was it Atlantic or Jive or something like that. Like he has like a tenure, and that's what's fascinating. Like this kind of reminds me a little bit, and I know it was very short lived, but when like Jay-Z went through his first retirement, and he was like, oh, after the Black Album, I'm done. And everyone's like, well, the Black Album's amazing. Yeah. Why are you leaving? Yeah. And then eventually he came back. I don't think Bob's coming back. Bob is actually going to be staying with the company in a different role.
Chairman, right?
Yeah.
Like a chairman, yeah.
But it's just a fascinating case study, because to your point, Disney pretty much runs everything. Actually, Disney, I almost forgot. They actually bought
Fox.
They bought Fox, like 21st Century Fox. So
Simpsons predicted that too.
Yeah.
like everything else.
Yeah. Jibril, what are your thoughts on this, man?
Honestly, I think it's actually a good move.
Yeah.
Because like I'm like a firm believer in like if you're like in a career and you're trying to get like fulfillment, I feel like if you feel like you fulfilled what you wanted to do, I think you should step away and move on. I think like with somebody coming to take his place, like he then can achieve stuff as well. And I feel like if you stay in a place for way too long and you stay past like where you're supposed to, that's when it could mess things up. And I think it's like brave for someone to actually walk away from success. I think like a lot of people, like you said with the Black Album, with Jay-Z and with other things, there's kind of like this like internal like pressure. Like, well, you're successful, stay successful. And for someone to like be like, I've achieved what I wanted to do and I can walk away. I think that's like inspiring, honestly.
Yeah. What's that saying? Die the hero or live long enough to the villain.
Dropping some Dark Knight references.
You know what I mean? To his point, it's like if you're not inspired, you know what I mean? You lose that flint, that spark, and your work, it reflects in your work. So I mean, if you've gotten to a certain level, like leave on top, and then like your legacy is cemented.
Oh, totally.
The next thing, and then the next guy, if he from fresh eyes, fresh energy, hopefully you can carry it. Yeah. Or if he fails and drops the ball, it doesn't reflect on you. You're always going to be that guy. I mean, it's a selfless move. I respect it.
Yeah, I found it to be interesting too, because when you think about the trajectory that Disney has been on, the fact that it does pretty much own everything, it's just fascinating to see when a leader makes a decision like this, because you would think It's like some leaders are very much focused on, okay, I've done this, or how do I beat it? How do I continue to progress up? And there's some people that are just obsessed with wanting to outdo themselves. Like, very rarely, especially when you think about like the generation, like our generation, that's so motivated to do different things and be successful. Like the nervousness or the feeling of being content with where you're at could somewhat be scary to someone, because they're almost like, oh, like, yo, you're content, like you're not motivated. Like, it's, people are always kind of questioning that. Like it's and that's what I found interesting, because Bob is a lot older, but like I think it's a good lesson for all of us. More, you know what, when you hit a certain level, it's sometimes it's not necessary to beat it, because it's kind of already there.
It's scary, man, you think about it, because like that guy's job probably was cemented for like the next like 10, 15 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Security's rare in this day and age. So to walk away from that, like, I'm curious of what his next move is, because I feel like if you are that established and you're that successful, your next move has to be your best move. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I feel like whatever he has lined up, it's going to be something people are going to want to pay attention to. You know?
Is there anybody, and we can make this a music example, is there anybody that you think should have maybe taken a page out of Bob's book?
Lil Wayne.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why so?
He put out so much content so quickly. He burned out so fast, and like it's just been very sad to watch. He's still successful, like, and he still puts out semi decent music, but for the level he was at, the peak he was at was Jay-Z esque.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's hard in hip hop to age gracefully and to maintain that status. Like, once you hit like 40,
it's tough, man.
Age you out.
Yeah.
You know, kids don't respect you, especially this generation. They don't
Yeah.
respect the OGs. Wayne, because of Drake and Nicki, still gets that respect, but I mean, you just look at him, bro. He looks, he's in rough shape, man.
Yeah.
This is hard to. I'm a Wayne guy, so it's hard to look at it. Also, Eminem's another one. Sorry if I stole
Yeah.
that.
No. I was just like, yeah. On that note, too, Tyler Creator made like a really good point.
Yeah.
When he did like an interview with Funk Flex,
Yeah.
and he was saying like with Eminem, like I'm not saying like I'm not tearing him down because I was a fan of his and like I was inspired by him, but Tyler's like the type of artist that like wants to reinvent himself.
Yeah.
And wants to like keep growing and growing, and the idea of like creating sequels for your albums or living in your past is where you can like get content and you're not really pushing forward. So on the point with Lil Wayne and like Eminem, I do think they have cemented fan bases, so they will always have the fans that want to listen to them. But for like for Jay-Z, for example, with like an album like 444, we see that artists can grow even more into
Reinvent themselves.
in later years.
Kanye,
So-
he's in the same boat. Guy
Yeah.
creates himself and keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
And you're still excited. You're still excited to hear what's next because you haven't heard it already.
And that's the thing too, and I think that's where a lot of people, specifically when you use the Kanye West example, I think that's where a lot of people don't give Kanye his credit. Is sure, there's probably fans that are feeling almost exhausted with Kanye, like similar to Eminem and Wayne, but you got to give Kanye credit in the sense that every one of his projects, there's nothing that sounds the same.
I feel like people's exhaustion with Kanye is never based on the music.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, I don't want to hear no more Kanye.
It's the persona.
Music. It's the persona. It's
Yeah.
everything outside of the music. And so your point with the Jay-Z thing, I would have put Jay-Z in that maybe like 3 years ago, because I mean, like, Magna Carta, whatever was after that, I can't recall.
He had Magna Carta. He had Kingdom Come.
Watch the Throne. Kingdom Come was after Black Album.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Was
it
after Black
like
Album.
Magna Carta.
Yeah.
That was the last one.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Blueprint 3, Magna Carta, but whatever. The point is, like, the music he was putting out wasn't inspired, really. It just felt like, rinse and repeat. So for him to be that introspective and that, like, fleshed out, that surprised me.
Yeah.
Now I'm excited again for Jay-Z.
Oh, me too,
You know what
man.
I mean?
Yeah.
And that I can't remember the last time, like, I felt that.
Yeah.
So, like, guys like Eminem and Wayne, they don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hip-hop. Like, a lot of traditional hip-hop artists, they're kind of stuck in the hip-hop vein.
They're
like, I gotta rap, I gotta do this, I gotta do that.
Yeah.
Whereas guys like Tyler, to your point, the artistic integrity, artistic creative freedom they have to do different things it's like, that's a new thing in my opinion. Like, there's not many artists that pre-2010 were taking risks like that.
Yeah, and if you think about it, Tyler, he's that's what he is. He's an artist, right? Like I think
put him in hip hop.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
He's like he's definitely taking the page out of an Andre 3000 book, or even to an extent, like almost like a Kanye in regards to what is like the thing. What I like about artists like Tyler and Igor was my album of the year last year is when you look at his body of work, it's definitive based on who he is at that moment in time. So you think about Flower Boy, you think about Igor, you think about even Wolf, like the albums before. Like it's all just like Tyler's at a certain stage in his life, and you could see that he's really trying to define what that stage is.
That's the beautiful part. I love when music is a time capsule.
Yeah,
and
man.
really pinpoint what that artist was at. Like that 444, like that's a time capsule.
That's a time capsule album. Like, I'm glad you brought up the Lil Wayne example because I went through funeral once and I never went back. Like, there's so much content. Like, it reminds and we did talk about Lil Wayne a few weeks ago on the show where we talked about his comments or his what he revealed on Drink Champs in regards to him not paying attention to hip hop nowadays, and because he's too immersed in his music. And then there's all these op-eds online about, is that the reason why Lil Wayne's still stuck in his own ways and he's not like progressing?
100%.
Yeah.
But it's odd because like you have a guy like Drake who's the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
He's got his finger on the pulse of everything happening. So and that's the reason why he stays current and relevant. So if you're Wayne and your biggest artist, that's his whole ethos. Why wouldn't you take a page out of that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is there anybody in movies that you think, like one director that comes to mind, and maybe he's coming back a little bit, but M. Night Shyamalan, like I felt like
he's coming back, really?
Oh, he has a series on Apple Plus.
Oh, okay. I saw from him was.
I think because with the Airbender, right? When he had that film, and then it was like he was like torched for that.
Yeah, he wasn't the right guy for that movie.
You think so?
No, he was not the right guy.
I feel like because this guy was coming out with like Signs and The Village. Like he had like a run for like a good like almost 10 years, and then Airbender came that kind of ruined him a little bit.
I feel like The Happening was like the beginning of that. Yeah, because like people were like, "What the hell? It's trees."
Yeah,
and like people did not like that twist. Yeah, I feel like his whole like shtick became kind of like too played out. Like that twist, always gonna be some random twist at the end. It became like, it's not like You come to expect
you expected it,
and then it's not so much.
And then when it's like doesn't pay off, you're like my time just got wasted.
An hour and a half waiting for nothing, you know. He had a movie recently. Wait, was it his movie?
He had the movie,
The Elevator. They're all stuck in the elevator.
Oh, was that him?
Devil. Devil.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
That was crap.
But no, with him though, it's like even to any like artist or like movies and things like that. Once your expectation. Once like if you're a fan of something and your expectation is so high, it's so hard for a director or an artist to like maintain that.
Yeah.
So I think for him it's one of those things where it's like that's why seeing artists that like reinvent themselves is so amazing because it kind of like gives you hope that like you can keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
But then again, you can get stuck being like the M. Night Shyamalan twist. You become like a caricature of like what you are, and so
overexposure hurts too because if you do too much too soon and like you lose that energy and people stop caring. That's what I'm worried about for like Jordan Peele. Like, you know, he's had a hot streak. I don't want him to do that one movie that sucks, and everyone's like, now I'm done with him. But to answer your question, who's the director I feel like should step away from?
Or just in general, anyone in entertainment. Because if you think about, if you apply what Bob Iger's done with Disney, like, again, Disney Plus acquisitions, like, that is a pretty high moment that maybe he was worried that if he didn't top it, that...
For me lately,
because those are big power moves. And like it's so weird because again I think it just boils down to the fact of when do you sort of put that fork in the sand to be like, all right, you know what, I'm good. Like
good question.
Contributed.
you know what makes a really good point with that? I think Donald Glover.
Yeah.
Because he's like a proponent of like moving on and keep forward.
He is. That's a great point. Yeah,
because it's gone to a point where it's like Atlanta and so many things in like the movies that he's doing. That there are people that are like, oh, like Childish Gambino make music, but I think even the fan base has accepted that like we've allowed him as fans to like do what he wants.
Yeah, and I like the permission, not the permission, but I like almost the permission that he's sort of asked for us. Like, you know, the fact that as much as we'd love a new Childish Gambino album, he's also producing other things that are getting you more invested, whether it's, that movie he did with Rihanna, or whether it is releasing a couple of extra songs via a Dropbox link, which I know he did before his tour a few years ago. Like it's a lot. It's a different way to kind of roll things out, but it keeps it fresh.
Yeah, and and we don't have that like give us an album now. And like on the note of like having like fear with other artists like Jordan Peele, I think like 2 artists right now that I'm like kind of worried about are like Rihanna, because like if her album doesn't like do what people think, especially with the amount of pressure that's on it, is like, and as well like Party Next Door as well, I feel like right now I feel like even if his music is like good, I feel like the expectations that are on him, I feel like are like astronomical, which I don't think is like as fair for him. So those 2 in particular, I like hope for the best, because the pressure on them right now is pretty crazy.
Especially when you look at their body of work, especially when you look at what Rihanna has been focusing on outside of music, and how she's just been hitting home runs when it comes to Fenty, when it comes to makeup line. Like, she's just become like a mogul now.
Which I didn't see coming like 5, 6, 7 years
I did not see it coming either. And dude, it's to the point where like Victoria's Secret's like on the verge of bankruptcy. Like
she ran them they're a staple. To your point about like Rihanna and who's the second artist you mentioned?
Party.
Like I was talking to Scotty about this recently. Scotty IV, shout out to Scotty IV, stay LA. It's like, we used to, the way albums and music was consumed, there would be like 1 album a year, every 2 years, and that space and time gives artists a chance to like breathe, get inspiration, like find a new sound, and fine tune
all that.
The way music comes out now, it's like if you don't drop a song like every 3 months or every 2 months or every month, it's like, yo, you fell off.
Literally.
And like that type of consumption, it doesn't lead to much like innovation. You don't get a chance to be a Sade. Like timeless artists can drop an album every 5 years and no one cares. Like Frank Ocean, I think, is the only timeless artist in this generation.
I agree with that.
Album every like 3 years, and no one seems to be mad about that. But like let Drake go a season without dropping a single, like he's lost his crown. You know what I mean? So like Rihanna's in an interesting place. And I commend her for not rushing. Because I feel like had she put out something, she probably had like 3 albums done. You know what I mean? She probably was recording, it's just not ready. And if she had put it out, it might have hurt her career.
Well, there was all these rumors about her albums being like a dance album and all that, and I remember people online like, oh no, she's working with all these Caribbean artists again. Like it's going to be a very Caribbean focused album. Like I like the mystique around it, but to the points that you guys are making, I think pressure is definitely on, and it'd be interesting. And honestly, I also feel like Rihanna's the type of artist, and I know her fan base would not appreciate this, but I think her fans also appreciate the fact that she has been successful in other ventures, that if she just flat out said, hey, you know what, guys,
I'm done,
I'm good. Like she has a catalog that she can live off of for like the rest of her life and become this business lady.
I kind of wish she would kind of step back for like 3 years, because then like when she did come up with an album, it'd be like the biggest thing.
It would be.
You know what I mean? Like, because it's still in like the media cycle, Rihanna album hasn't had a chance to be like, I didn't think that person was even making music. Or I didn't anticipate an album. I would like that for Rihanna. Like people just kind of
drop it
before it just kind of comes.
On that note, that's like going back to like Kanye West. Like I know like people with like Jesus King and like for me personally, like being a fan of his from like the beginning and like seeing his like trajectory. Like he does seem at peace, and like I want him to be at peace. Like,
we all do.
If he never made like regular music again, or like this is what he really wanted to do, at least like as fans, like we know like you're happy, you're at peace. Because so many times, like rest in peace to Pop Smoke, I feel there are so many times where like we see artists never get like that happy ending.
No, they don't.
And especially for like Kanye West, like given what he's like been through, I would rather him like go away for a very long time. Or like a Rihanna, like take your piece and do what you want, instead of like feeling like you're a part of a machine and you have to like
tear you apart.
Which is probably even the CEO, because the one article I read about the CEO from Disney is it was like they said this entire thing's a good lesson of just self-awareness, where maybe once you've kind of reached that top, it is worth kind of taking a step back, because it's a high pressure environment, and you've probably given it your all to get to that top, right?
You sacrifice family time, you time, mental health, all that stuff. Like the factors that probably played into his decision, like, are probably way more personal than anything.
Oh, for sure, man.
I compare it to the closest comparison to someone leaving on the top was like Barry Sanders.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, that was a guy that was like the guy who's going to be, if not already, the greatest running back of all time. I think he retired at like 28.
Yeah, he retired super young.
You know what I mean? That's rare for a football player. You know, those guys try to run until they can't run anymore.
Yeah.
Like I said,
well, Tom Brady's still at it. Tom Brady's taking free agency meetings.
Man, that's so wild to me.
Yeah. Actually, one last thing on this. Do you ever see, like, do you think that Jeff Bezos will ever do something like this or no?
He's too ego driven.
Yeah.
He can't. He needs to be the guy. Like, he wants to. That's his thing. Like, I have to be the most successful person on the planet.
Yeah.
You can't walk away from that.
Yeah.
You can't. It's like,
what, Steve Jobs?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, those type of guys have a different type of engine.
Yeah.
Whatever powers that engine is, like, I don't know what it is. But they're driven to do something that's like only a handful of people have that type of mentality, and that's something you don't just like turn off.
It's crazy. I'm going out to Seattle in May, and I think I'm outside of just drinking coffee from the original Starbucks. I think I just want to see what Amazon has done to the place. Because apparently, like, the Amazon Go store, and there's like a bunch of stuff that Amazon's done to the city. Seattle's
an interesting city. I've always wanted to visit Seattle. I don't know why. Like, it comes from that.
For me, it was just it was a very cheap trip on point, so we just booked it. But yeah, it should be fun. Jibril, is there anybody on like the business side or someone that's big right now that you think could follow Bob Iger's lead or no?
Well, it's kind of interesting. Paul Rosenberg got axed at Jam.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I think it was like I watched like the Joe Biden podcast, so they were like having their own theories. But I guess you could say like he stepped down. So it'll be interesting to see who takes that place.
Yeah,
50 Cent. I heard it was a joke, but he like went on. He's like, "Yeah, I'll do it."
Yeah, and
I don't think he'd be bad at it.
I don't think 50 would be bad. I think 50 is actually a guy in my eyes that probably should have left on top, but then as soon as he was coming out with more stuff, I think he's quickly had some self-realization that, you know what, I think I need to switch it up a little bit.
And he recently, I think with like Tekashi and Pop Smoke, started like having a hand in ushering the new wave of like New York artists.
Yeah.
And, like, his cosign has been immeasurably valuable because like, he's like one of the few artists from the past generation, the one just before this one, that has that kind of like power to be like, I'm endorsing you, and people are gonna respect that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? There's not many artists from New York from like 2000, other than like Jay, and like I actually can't think of any other than Jay.
Yeah. I think it is like and Jay-Z is so like up there, and you know what I mean, so behind the scenes. 50 Cent really like you can like say like is like on the face of New York for like kids coming up.
Exactly, and it's also crazy because like 50 Cent, like Get Rich or Die Trying for a lot of these New York kids was probably their Ready to Die, right? It was probably their. It's like what's one of my favorite albums of all time. I think it's everyone's favorite, one of their favorite albums.
My life, man.
Yeah, I remember going to Shoppers World and buying that after school. But I want to switch gears a bit. Let's talk about some news that came out this week. One in particular I thought was kind of interesting was the NBA's new partnership with New Balance. And for all of you that don't know what New Balance is, that are currently listening, New Balance is the maker of your dad's probably favorite sneakers. But, you know, it's a big brand amongst hipsters. It is a brand that's definitely on the pretty much been re-emerging, I would say, for the last little bit, and is looking to make an impact into sports, specifically basketball. It all started, I would say, here locally when Kawhi Leonard was a Toronto Raptor, and they signed him on for an endorsement deal. But, you know, what I like about this story is it goes to show just the thinking of a brand wanting to reinvent themselves and wanting to do that by partnering with something that's highly relevant. It's no secret that the NBA is definitely the most popular sports league out right now. I think there's a bunch of data around just how much the NBA influences culture, influences fashion, influences even music. And New Balance is looking to really go all in, and they've signed on to do a marketing partnership with the league, and it looks like it'll be centered around Kawhi and then eventually be centered around other things as well. But we'd love to get your theories on this. Like, do you think New Balance, like what do you think New Balance is trying to do here? Do you like the move? Do you think New Balance could end up becoming like the next Puma? Because we all know that Puma is on pretty much for the last couple of years has been re-emerging with a bunch of different partnerships. We'd love to get both your thoughts on this. And maybe Jibril, we'll begin with you.
Yeah, I don't know if like the business part of it will like make the company surge.
Yeah,
but I do think it makes like logical sense for them to like partner with NBA, New Balance, and push their marketing in that realm. Because the NBA, their global reach and their reach among like the youth and things like that is massive.
It's crazy.
And I think when it comes to like branding and like understanding audiences, I think it's important for brands to like partner with companies that fit their ideals and values. So I think it's like a perfect like match. And given like Kawhi Leonard like essentially being like
the face
the face of it, and like given like the past like year and a bit, like Kawhi Leonard has been like borderline like the face of the NBA. And especially just like the branding that they've been doing, even though it's so like minimalistic and stuff, it's so like great to see. So it just really makes complete sense, and I think it will be like successful because like I think it makes all the sense in the world to do.
It's like the first real like hipster sports brand. I don't know, Jay, what do you think?
It's interesting. I feel like Kawhi and New Balance are like a match made in heaven.
Oh, dude, when that news came out like last year when he was a Raptor, it makes total sense.
But he's probably like the least charismatic person to have their own like, or athlete to have their own custom sneaker. You know what I mean? Like, does Dude even have social media? I don't even think like
he does. The last time I think he tweeted was when he was a Spur, and it was like 2014. I remember because people were tagging him when we won the chip last year, and I remember clicking it, and he barely tweeted. Like it was like 4 tweets.
That's crazy. Like he's such a like enigma. But like as far as marketing, New Balance is like etched out his niche for so long. So seeing them take a step in a really different direction, and more of an urban direction, it's cool. That shows you the power of the NBA and by osmosis hip hop, association hip hop.
Totally.
It proves that urban culture is the power behind consumerism at this point.
It is.
So like it's reassuring to see that and brands getting behind it and understanding that power and seeing athletes leverage that, and like the NBA being the brand that it is and seeing how it's grown so much and like embracing that. It's cool to see New Balance like and attach this up to the NBA, because for the longest time I just always thought it was like another Asics.
It's like you're, if you're looking to buy a running shoe to actually run in, you'd buy a pair of New Balance, right?
I thought N1 would come back and blow up before New Balance would make a basketball.
Well, Fred VanVleet has an N1 deal,
which I've never actually seen the sneaker, so I don't know if they brought.
It doesn't look too bad.
Is it the retros that like Vince used to wear?
No, they kind of did the sock kind of shoe. So they gave it the sock finish, very very similar to I guess what Nike and Adidas have kind of come out with, and then it's like the same type of idea that Puma has run with as well. So they did go more of the fashion route.
Is Puma one of the athletic brands attached to the NBA?
Yeah, so I believe Puma also has a partnership with the NBA. I think the NBA doesn't have exclusivity. The only exclusivity they have is with jerseys with Nike.
Yeah, so it's Nike, I'm guessing Adidas. Under Armour. Puma. And then New Balance?
I guess New Balance, they're in the question.
Reebok's not his own thing. Reebok's part of it.
And then New Era does all the headgear. Puma's an interesting one, too, because Puma started to come out... Well, Jay-Z, I think he's still heading up Puma's basketball division.
He is, yeah.
But there was, like, a moment in time where, like, all the Rock Nation athletes were rocking, like, the basketball Clydes. Like, Danny Green was rocking those last year.
He's a Puma athlete too, right? I think he signed the Rock Nation Sports Management, right?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing with like Jay-Z that's really crazy, is that like this guy has his hands in everything. So like, sign to my label or sign to my front management, and like I'll get you a shoe deal. I mean, I can do this and do that. Like he's like the all-encompassing, like everything.
He is. He's like the one-stop shop. He'll dress you from head to toe.
It's crazy. How many places really have it like that? How many agencies have it like that? I don't know anyone off the top. I couldn't think of it.
Have you guys ever bought a pair of New Balance?
Not by choice.
They're on sale and you just need shoes.
I mean, like I think the last pair of New Balances I owned, I mess with the shoes. Like I think as far as
they are super comfy.
And they, over the years, like they've had collaborations and they become more aware of like what they are to the culture. For the sneaker. The basketball sneakers. So like they have some really cool like kicks. And I bought a pair like 5 years ago. it's a certain kind of sneaker. But I remember back when I was a kid, like my dad used to only buy me New Balance.
Yeah.
Like, not by choice.
You used to groan because you're like, oh, the N's not for Nike.
I didn't even know what New Balance was. Trying to explain it to my friends was difficult.
Jabril, what about you, man?
Technically, because I got a Liverpool jersey and it's like New Balance.
Yeah.
But no, like I don't know what it is with like minimalism in fashion, but like just looking at the N on the New Balance just looks like appealing.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, and like even like I'm wearing like a shirt that just says Dime on it, but like it's just so simple.
Yeah, minimalist fashion in general is crazy because even people were, I remember knocking the Kawhi sneaker because I think there was like Times New Roman font on there.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah,
that was.
And it's nuts because you think about like the NBA is in an interesting position because they've also just recently done a deal with Louis Vuitton. Like they're just going into these really outrageous sort of partnerships that you wouldn't think that a sports league would get into. But to your point, like I think their impact on the culture is just crazy right now that they're allowed to be in those conversations. But New Balance is an interesting one too, man, because for me, like to your point, like Jay, like New Balance is like my dad has a pair. I remember like you go to Queen Street West, a lot of people are just wearing New Balance because it's a good walkable shoe. and I remember it's what I find interesting is do you potentially see some of these people that are hardcore New Balance fans or maybe not into basketball? Do you see maybe this partnership alienating some of those core people?
It really depends on like how they separate their marketing.
Yeah,
because they can still tailor their like dad shoes to that demographic.
That's true too. Yeah,
and then tailor the basketball sneaker to the urban demographic that's gonna want to buy that without it ever like crossing over. But like, remember when Nike did that Kaepernick and everyone that was like anti Kaepernick?
Yeah.
Like the demographic was mostly like middle-aged like white men.
Yeah,
and started burning their Nikes. You remember that? Like,
well, I think I saw someone burn their Nikes while they were on their feet too. That was a video. Yeah, that was a legit video. I remember that. Yeah, like I don't know if I'll go that far, but
no, I don't think New Balance will ever do anything that controversial either. But like, I don't think it would affect their already established base. I think people know what they're going to get with New Balance. Yeah. And I don't feel like having a basketball shoe is going to affect that or change that.
Because Jibril, to your point about minimalist fashion, the reason why a lot of minimalist fashion is popular because it is also affordable too. Yeah. So when you start to see, some of that minimalist fashion show up in a mainstream venue like the NBA, it's does it feel like the brand's selling out? I don't know.
And it depends on how things like tie together.
Yeah.
Like speaking of like Rock Nation, Jay-Z, like J. Cole just dropped that commercial with Puma.
Yeah, it was sick. I love that commercial.
And like in that video, not only do you see like a kid like having his dream come true, you see like a musician, and then you have like that tying together with basketball and sports. So like to the point with the Kaepernick, like either it can be really bad and you can like alienate people, or if you make something as like powerful as that commercial was, you can tap into so many different like demographics and audiences. Yeah. That on the back end, of course, will boost the business, but also you're creating like a product that like people believe in. So, so it goes positive in both ways.
And then, and to my point earlier about Kawhi and New Balance being like the perfect like pair, he's very on brand with like. They're very like, understated, very simple, very minimalist, and that's him. Like, you couldn't find a more understated, more like minimalist athlete in the NBA period. You know what I mean? Like same hairdo, he barely talks, very stoic, very like just.
I would have loved to have seen that negotiation like that, like just like all these New Balance people show up. They're just dressed very simple. Kawhi just shows up.
Have you seen the shoe like this?
I've seen his shoes. Actually, during All-Star Weekend, they came out with a special shoe for Kawhi. And I'll be honest, to me, that was the most out there shoe that I've ever seen them put out. Because it had like a paint splatter type of design on it. Like it just, to me, I was like, okay, this doesn't seem like New Balance. This seems like some type of Nike shoe that an athlete's actually designed.
But even like their outlandish stuff is still like entry level for Nike, you know what I mean?
It is, yeah.
It's still very much New Balance.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool. They kept the DNA intact. but managed to make a sneaker. I don't know the performance of the sneaker. I don't know how good it is. I've never even seen it in the store, so even trying them on.
Yeah.
But like, I'd be interested to see it because like I'm a minimalist guy.
Yeah.
So like a sneaker like that. I like who she was it. But I'm a pro model kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very like simple with the sneakers I wear, like shoes I wear for ball. So like, I'd be interested in seeing it. When I saw the Times New Roman font, though, I thought that was like the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Well, yeah. Actually, I feel like Jay was hoping for Comic Sans, right?
Adidas, you know.
It's funny because those Fun Guy shirts, you know, for last year only were huge. And it was like the most basic shirt of all time.
They flooped out on that though. They flooped out on like that marketing with the fun guy thing. Like, where'd that come from again? It was like
you say, during this interview,
like,
I'm a fun guy.
They flooped out on that.
Yeah,
like, they didn't. Well, if he didn't say that, what would their campaign?
Imagine me like the actual designer. Like you're literally opening up a Word doc and just writing fun guy,
and then it sells out.
That's minimalist. Is there a brand in your eyes that you want to see come back?
Brooks,
eh?
No, I'm joking. That's like
no. Yo, why not, man? Brooks is heavy, man.
Yeah, Brooks is another Aces, but like and a New Balance. I didn't even think you guys would remember Brooks, but
I had a pair of Brooks.
Oh man, that's so
the upside down check mark.
Yeah, bro, that was like the knockoff Reebok logo. But brand Umbro. I'm a soccer guy.
Yeah.
So like I Umbro was like the in the 90s, man.
Yeah,
and like their jerseys and everything. I'd like to see them come back and like start making. I think they do make jerseys, but they're just not like on any of the big teams.
Yeah, actually, like it's funny how like the basketball jersey wave, the hockey jersey wave's coming back. I wonder if the soccer jersey wave's gonna come back, man.
I liked the soccer jersey wave, because I feel like hockey, baseball, like they're kind of like staples.
Yeah, they are.
So like
the
jerseys don't really change that much.
Yeah.
Basketball, they have a little more flavor. They have a little more direction.
Yeah.
They have a little more like they have throwbacks. They have new like jerseys. Soccer, like every year is like a reinvention of
it's always different.
Unless you're like a Juventus, which for the first time ever
they
changed their shit.
Oh,
like,
crazy.
And Man United for the most part is the same, but like there's teams like more internationally, if anything, like Nigeria's jerseys.
Yeah, that fit was crazy, man.
Yeah. Crazy, man. I feel like soccer jerseys are mad underappreciated, but like a brand like Umbro would be a brand I like to see come back.
Yeah.
Speaking of hockey jerseys, like a CCM, like I remember they used to make.
Yeah.
Like that.
Dude, and it was funny. Someone told me that like Pro Hockey Life was just getting rid of all their CCM jerseys. So I went there during lunch at work. All of them are gone. I was like, and they were like dirt cheap. They're just literally trying to clear them out. They were for like $30-$40.
Those are like holy grails for like hockey jerseys.
Yeah, man. It's just like those champion basketball jerseys, right? Jibril, what about you, man?
They did like those like old fashioned like starter jackets.
Yeah.
They like tried reinventing that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
That was like really fire.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I think no matter like how many like years pass, there's always gonna be a point where like from back in the day gets cool.
Yeah.
So like talking about Umbro and like English kits.
Yeah.
There's probably like if you go on eBay right now, if you want to get like an Umbro David Beckham jersey, it's probably like mad expensive.
Yeah.
So it would be cool for like brands to like see those things and like reinvent themselves and try.
What was the other soccer brand? Diadora. Yeah, Diadora. Yeah.
Which when I was younger, I was confused by it because I thought it was like an Adidas
thing.
So like, and I found out later that was his own thing.
Yeah.
Kappa is another brand that was kind of cool. The cool thing about now is that these brands can come back and exist with like collaborations with like
totally
like a Kif or like and it's cool.
But even like, but to your point, like Fubu came back and did a collab with Puma, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden people were into it. Like it almost allowed these brands that people thought were like that people were rocking back in the day and now are somewhat interested in bringing back. It's like they almost have to collab with someone to have permission in the space.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of it because it benefits both sides.
It does.
You know what I mean? And like I think it was it Kif? They did like that Coca-Cola thing.
Yeah.
And like
well, Champion did that too.
Champion did a
Coca-Cola collection.
That's the thing with these like boutique brands. They give you access to doing like brands that don't even make clothes or shoes.
Yeah.
Like, they give them like an in to do some creatively cool different things and like bringing back like a brand like Umbro. I feel like the best way to do that would be to work with like a boutique brand. Like, Fear God or Kif or whatever.
Yeah.
And make something cool that people be like, this is dope. I think like Palace did something with like Juventus, right?
Yeah.
They had like that weird one-off jersey that was like randomly colorful and it glow in the dark and whatever. That was cool. Like stuff like that. Those collaborations now, I think is what drives the new wave of like sportswear.
It does. It does. Yeah, and that's why I find fascinating. Like you mentioned N1 earlier and how they have a partnership with Fred VanVleet. I thought N1 would have been like the perfect collab brand for one of these streetwear brands, because N1 streetball culture when I was in high school was huge. Like we used to
those mixtapes, man.
Yeah,
those mixtapes changed.
Used to get those off of Kazaa and just watch watch Hot Sauce just cross people.
Escalade with me.
Jibril might be too young for that, but
2025 over here. But and important to realize is like it also has to hit as well.
It does. It does.
Because sometimes with brands they're so nostalgic that it again goes back to like the fans.
Yeah.
Like it has to be like good with the fans. And I think like talking about different like cultures, like with movies, like Bad Boys 3. That hit, like it did really well.
Yeah.
But if something like that doesn't do well, it's like it hurts. So on that note, it's amazing when like old brands connect and it hit again.
Yeah. What's an example of an old brand or even movie or franchise or something that came back that probably shouldn't have come back?
Transformers.
Wow. Jibril had that in the chamber.
Michael Bay was another director I was going to say earlier, but I was
it brings the other conversation forward. What's a brand that came back that didn't hit, or something that came back that didn't hit? Yeah, I remember, wasn't Tyga trying to bring back LA Gear and that failed? He had an LA Gear collab.
Yachty tried with Nautica. I don't think that worked.
Yeah.
That made sense though from any point of view, but like they didn't know how to do it.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny, because when that 90s fashion wave started coming back, like I think Tommy did a good job in reverting back to some classic designs. The Gap tried and they collabed with like Metro Boomin and I think SZA and that was weird. Like that didn't work out. Like I think you started to see a bunch of these brands try to get back into it. They're like, oh, okay, we totally forgotten about this area of our segment. They seem to be liking nostalgia. Let's just jump right in and get... Because even with New Balance, like New Balance, like I would say 10, 15 years ago, was supporting basketball, and then they got out. And now they're trying to get back in. And this is probably their in by partnering with the NBA.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they used to have a basketball division before.
Really?
Yeah, so...
Did they have any athletes signed?
I don't think it was anyone big. I'll have to double check. But it's fascinating, man. It's fascinating.
The New Theory Radio.
We still have some time left. I actually want to talk to you guys about this topic quickly before we wrap up. So the RZA from the Wu-Tang, speaking of collabs, he partnered up with Tazo T, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with, and he put out an album called Guided Explorations, and what it's being described at is meditation hip-hop songs. The Enemy, which is a very popular publication in England, called this self-help advice over ambient soundscapes and mellow beats. So obviously, like, we live in the age of self-care, man. Everyone is trying to find different ways to help themselves and find relaxation. And I find it interesting that a guy like the RZA, who's so well established in the hip hop game, is almost leading this forefront around self-care hip hop music. And I'd love to get your thoughts and your theories on this. Like, do you guys like this idea? Do you feel like it's a bit of a stretch? Obviously, there's people out there that might prefer more soundscape, ambient music. Like, even for my daughter to put her to sleep, like, she's obsessed with white noise, and I'm finding with white noise now, like, I get relaxed when I go to bed too. Like, it's just one of those things that just kind of knocks you out. But like, is this too gimmicky? Is this the right move? Do you see maybe other genres following suit? We'd love to get some theories. Maybe actually, Jay, we'll begin with you.
I'm a big white noise guy, so like I fall asleep to anyone knows me. I fall asleep to like rainforest sounds and waterfalls and whatnot. I can't picture RZA's voice over that. So like I'm trying to picture exactly, like I have to like hear this. I can't even visualize what this is supposed to sound like or be like. So RZA's the king of like monetizing his IP.
So you watch the Mike's and Men?
Yeah, man. He's the whole Wu-Tang, everything. Like, those guys know how to, like, leverage their brand and do stuff with it. Interesting and cool and different things and take risks with it. I'm always for hip-hop doing stuff outside of the norm.
Yeah.
This is very interesting and random. it almost seems like it's hopping on the trend of like mental health being a thing right now. And if it's genuine and it's a good product, I hope it succeeds. If it's just some another like rap snacks or something, like just something that doesn't exist, and
well, even because like the RZA is a very spiritual guy. Like especially if you watch the Mike's and Men, like I watched that actually on a flight. I'm so glad that my flight system had the entire thing. I just dived right in. He is someone that's very spiritual. So I think from an expectation standpoint, I think he fits that vibe, like versus like a Lil Yachty doing this. That seemed kind of random, but then again, hey, he might be into meditation. But to your point, like there is this wave popularity around, meditative apps and meditative soundscapes and like trendy. Mental health. Yeah, there's this trend, and it's also kind of interesting based on him partnering up with a tea company. Yeah.
Is it hip hop music or is it like ambient music?
I think it's weird. Like it's being described as hip hop meditation music, but I don't know if that's because RZA's doing it. I haven't heard it yet, to be honest. But
it's a weird.
I'll have to check it out.
Collection of words together. Like I like my hip hop destructive and like.
well, and that's the other part of it too. Is that considering all the negative, and not like the negative in regards to the way the music sounds, but just some of the negative topics we see in this new generation of hip hop music, or just music in general. Like you think about even there's some negative aspects in like emo rock and like negative aspects in even some pop music.
Very self-destructive.
Self-destructive is the best way to describe it. Is this a way maybe to get away from that? Jibril, what do you think?
I think for me, like there are certain artists that like I feel like are exploiting like mental health or like doing certain things. But I think overall, even if like I don't listen to like this music that Riz is putting out, I think I like the idea that even in the smallest amount, mental health is like a thing. Yeah. Like even if there's too much of it and like you don't know who's really like out here like with real problems, I think the whole idea that it's a thing is like more important than wondering who's right or wrong about it. That's like the way I see it, and I think given how many artists have like legitimately passed away given in the year and a bit, I think like more so than ever, even if RZA, we can like talk about how like yes or no to it. I think it's important if there's one person that looks at what he's doing and they're like, this is what I need. Like we don't even know what a reach can do for like others. So
especially since Wu-Tang is such a respected establishment, not even just in hip-hop music but in music in general. It's good to see someone like a RZA play in this space, to almost be the one to, again, he has his legacy, so in some ways it's not a legacy killer type of move. Like it's more of a move that's expanding.
Much on brand because that's what they do.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, I think, potentially, is that they have been known in the past to tie their names to things that have been kind of corny.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel like that. But like again, I'm only hearing about it for the first time, so like, I have to do some research. I'm more interested in the idea is dope. I want to see how it's marketed and packaged, because that's what's really gonna make it work. So people see that, because like with RZA, you think a certain thing, and like the spirituality side of it, not something that everyone knows. You know what I mean? A lot of people's knowledge of RZA stems from Wu-Tang.
It does.
So like when they hear he's doing some ambient mind or mental health related music, but it's still hip hop, it's confusing for me. It might be too much for people to process or give a chance to off rip. So how it's marketed and how it's packaged is important.
And to that point, there are probably people that all three of us know that probably only know Wu-Tang for Protect Your Neck or 36 Chambers, that if they hear fast forward 25 years, hey, this guy's making meditation music. Is that one of those things where it's like, oh, like, is that polarizing for some people, right? And I think that's the interesting aspect. Like I think there's it's fascinating because like I don't think we're in disagreement with what he's doing, but I think we're just trying to figure out whether it's on brand or whether it's authentic. I think I'm gonna get both you guys to check out the tracks and then report back to me after. Let me know how relaxing they are. Like one of the things I was reading is I think before the album begins, he tells the listener go find a nice quiet place. Like he's like really engaging them in regards to just the type of setting they need to be in, and you know kudos to him, because I personally I think J. Cole was close on his last album when he was talking about instead of meditating, go meditate, and he had that just message, and you can tell it was coming from a place of, hey, I'm an elder, somewhat of an elder compared to some of the younger guys.
It was still kind of preachy though, because he was kind of taking shots at the generation.
He was, and that most of that album was too,
and which is off-putting for a lot of people, because it's kind of like what's that guy's name that no one likes?
Oh, Russ?
Yeah, see?
I already do.
Jibril just had that one ready, just like Transformers, Russ.
Yeah, it's like a Russ. Like these guys, let's say they don't understand the culture, but they have a very stark and very like steadfast opinion on certain things. Yeah, and it comes across as a holier than thou type attitude with the J. Cole thing in particular with the album. But he did have a redeeming message in it. Yeah. So like, yeah, I'm just curious. I can't picture RZA being like the relaxing voice guy though. Like, I'm trying to picture what it's gonna sound like. I need to listen to it tonight. I'm probably gonna try and fall asleep to it tonight and see what it's really. Like.
I'm just wondering if he's gonna throw a little doo doo like at the end because that's his signature. But we'll see.
On that note though, when J. Cole dropped that, being like 25 years old, I feel like protective enough to like see artists that are around my age, like a Little Pump or like a Smoke Perp, and I'm just like, I always kind of feel like when like older generation, like I feel like there's always like that targeted in like the artists that are around my age. So like J. Cole, like, I'm a really big fan of J. Cole, but I felt like when he was like just like putting down Little Pump or artists that are around my age, it's kind of like, but the artists in your group that do similar things, like a Future or someone like that, no one's not gonna like, you're not gonna criticize someone in your class. Yeah. But for like artists in like, I guess I would say like my class, you're not saying anything. And like to that point with Russ, like he could be saying so many good things that are positive, and he's teaching people certain things. But like for me personally, again, with like artists in my class, like when Little Pete passed away, Russ took a massively negative turn with that, and I didn't appreciate the way he said.
Yeah. A lot of people did not appreciate. I didn't appreciate.
Yeah, that. And then on that note, when rest in peace Mac Miller passed away, it was again an artist in their generation. It was more like, this is sad, rest in peace, we have to do more. So
you talking about Gold Link?
No, when Mac Miller passed, Russ, the only thing Russ like said, it was like, rest in peace to Mac, like this is really sad.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, that's a good example, because the temperature was different. Like when Pete died, it was like, oh, he's a druggie, that's how he's gonna go. But when Mac went, it was like, oh man, he's got demons, he got problems. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, the narrative was completely different. That's
it was.
And you made another good point about Future being the guy. A lot of these artists, like Juice WRLD, went on record saying, I tried drugs for the first time.
And Little Pete as well.
So like, if J. Cole's gonna go at anyone, it probably should have been Future, because this is the guy that started the wave. Yeah, or like he was a part of the wave. He commercialized that wave.
And I think that's the interesting part about this story is, you know, will you see maybe a J. Cole or a Future? Actually, I think it'd speak volumes if it was a Future. Change that narrative and maybe want to take a chance on some self-help music, like to maybe.
The thing that would be cool is, I feel like if you separate the art from the reality, if you're able to make music like that, but then have something like on the flip side, like, yo, I may rap about this stuff, but it's just music. Yeah, you know what I mean? And like in reality, you guys should do this, and this. And if you have a way of packaging that and telling the people, you're a human being. Like, you're not always one thing, and as an artist, you should be able to display that. Yeah. And like, I get you're a commercial artist, and you gotta worry about your sales and your hits and stuff, but like, Danny Brown said it. If you're gonna talk about getting high, you gotta talk about the come down. You gotta talk about like the pitfalls of that as well, because you gotta. All these kids see is the party. They don't see like what happens after the party's over, and that's the part about. What about the RZA thing is that it's shown that he's growing. He's grown as an individual to a point where he doesn't value hits or portraying a certain image. He can do something like this, and it doesn't hurt him because he's grown. Doesn't affect him like that. I got a Future wouldn't be able to do that right now. Yeah. I would love to see it though. That'd be cool as hell. Imagine that. Imagine what kind of a game changer that'd be if Future went on this and stuff like that.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Danny Brown, because he's a prime example of someone who has gone through ebbs and flows, but his last album, he admittedly said that he was a lot sober than he was before, and I thought the album was good. And again, but the thing with Danny Brown is, you know, he maybe got better, but it certainly didn't affect his content. Like all of a sudden, he wasn't, you know, doing meditative music per se. But it's an interesting wave, man. As this self-care, mental health wave continues, and as more and more artists tend to start recognizing just some of the challenges that they're facing, like I'd be super curious to see if you'd have a situation like it's kind of funny if you guys listen to rock, like, or even just like here locally, like you have Alexis on Fire, but then you have City and Color that's like totally mellowed out and chill, right? And I'm wondering if you'll see more of that within the hip hop industry, where you have an artist that maybe is, you know, just self-destructive in what their music is, but then all of a sudden they just flip it and they offer up something different. I don't know.
You know what's crazy? One of the first artists I feel like that was really championing that wave, but took a lot of flack for it, was Eminem. Yeah, and like
Recovery was that type of album for him,
and a lot of people didn't like it.
Yeah,
like, yo, you're better when you're on drugs. You're better when you're like, what kind of message is that?
And like when like an artist like breaks up with their like, oh, we're getting a classic album now.
Yeah,
like like we like want negative energy, so our artists like, you know, it's like the thing like, oh, like negative energy brings great art, but it's like there's a human like behind that, you know. So it's to your point.
Crazy, guys. Well, you know, honestly, boys, I really appreciate you guys joining us here on New Theory Radio to have some really amazing chats. I'm just going to go around quickly in the room. Feel free to let the audience know how they can reach you, how they can connect with you, plug whatever you got going on. I know Stay Out Late has a full slate of different things happening. So, Jay, the floor is yours. And then, Jibril, let us know how we can listen to Studio One. So, Jay, let's begin with you.
Yeah. First and foremost, we got an event tonight at Paradise Theater. It's an event called Dumpling. We got some of the best talent in Toronto on the bill. Some of the best DJs, some of the best.
It's going to air tomorrow, so the event might have already happened.
Oh,
right?
Okay. So something more down the line, then.
That never gets old.
Yeah, we're totally going to keep that in.
We got our 2-year anniversary for Jungle, April 26th. That goes down at the shop. That's 566 Queen Street West, and we got a bunch of music dropping. It's been pretty good. The first like 2 months. What were we, February? Yeah, so the first 2 months of the year feels like forever. We're dropping a bunch of music in March, so look out for that. That's the summary.
Amazing. And Jibril, what about you, man? What do you got coming up?
Again, pleasure to be here. I host and do interviews for my platform called Studio One with Mike Liang. He films the show. We are currently filming our season 2. Hopefully, we will release that maybe end of March, early April. I'm really excited for that. We're also doing like a side series where we like film interviews over phone call. So we just dropped the Bluestones interview. They just got nominated for the Junos. Other than that, Studio One is my primary focus. I also write for Clash magazine and things like that, but other than that, you can watch Studio One by going to the YouTube channel, Studio One Show on Instagram, Studio One Show on Twitter. Season 1 is complete, so you can catch up on all those episodes. Shout out Stay Out Late, shout out Tremaine. He is on the platform as well in the episodes.
It's awesome. You got New Theory alumni on your shows. You did an episode with Lexicon. He's been on the show.
Shout out Lexicon. Shout out Keynes Woods, shout out Tremaine, shout out Joya, shout out Connor Mowat. Studio One is definitely a platform that has artists that are massive and huge, kind of like Muna, Taking Back Sunday, but there's also like artists in the city that I've talked to, like Jay Wiz. My final note would be Toronto has a lot of talent, and I'm happy that I have a platform to showcase it.
Awesome. Well, peeps, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining us here on New Theory Radio. And we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back after this brief message here on News Talk, Saga 960 AM. on News Talk Saga 960 AM. My name is Nav Nanwa. I am your host, and this is the show where we theorize on all things current affairs, pop culture, and everyday life. And it's about that time that we do our special community segment of the week. And if you just tuned in, you just heard the sounds of Quiet Storm, which is a wonderful track by my next guest, who's currently on the line from New York. She is a Grammy Award-winning violinist, producer, humanitarian. She is the UN Goodwill Ambassador of Music for the United Nations. She's worked with a who's who list of different artists. I'm talking about some of my favorites like Kanye West, Jay-Z, Wyclef Jean, Alicia Keys, even Britney Spears, and she's also even played violin at the White House, and she is gracing the Rose Theater in Brampton on March 13th, and we're very excited to have her. It is Miri Ben-Ari is currently on the line. Miri, thanks so much for joining us here on New Theory Radio.
Thank you so much. Pleasure being on your show. And I just have to say, so in my homeland, we pronounce my name as Miri as opposed to Mary over here.
Oh, yeah? So what do you prefer?
We're going to practice that a few times.
So you want Miri?
So it's M-I-R-I.
Miri,
yeah, like
Miri. Miri Ben-Ari. There we go.
Yeah.
So my apologies.
As a matter of fact, there is a Star Wars episode named after Miri. I made it right there.
but you're the original, right? So
I'm the very original.
You are, and you are very
the Yoda
original.
came after me. Thank you.
It is truly an honor to speak with you, Miri, because honestly, and I told you this off the air, College Dropout from Kanye West is one of my favorite albums of all time. And one of the amazing aspects of that album is your violin playing on tracks like Workout Plan. Just all throughout the entire album, your presence is felt, it's heard, and I think it really adds to the experience. And considering that album and the fact that Kanye West himself like a lot of that album is very sample heavy, you playing live violin on some of those tracks really in some ways disrupted the way hip-hop music was being consumed, because it was one of the first forays, I would say, next to maybe The Roots, or maybe next to some of these other early 90s groups like Arrested Development, where live instrumentation was being introduced to hip-hop music, because hip-hop for the longest time was very much an art form that was based on the art of sampling. And you came in and you did your thing, and then obviously your violin playing is heard on other tracks like Overnight Celebrity with Twista. I gotta say, how did you get involved in the hip-hop world?
First of all, I gotta give you some respect. You really know hip hop.
I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to hip hop, yes. But hey, these were cool songs that I was listening to when I was in high school, so they really resonate with me.
So cool, I tell you. So yeah, the college workout, a dropout. I'm sorry. I just combined the workout and the college dropout. Was actually is a lot of people Kanye's favorite album. I think it captures Kanye in many ways in his best. It's this crazy combination of sampling, just like you said, and very organic sound. I did much more than playing violin, because I was actually arranger, producer, writer on many of the tracks. I was putting orchestras together. I was, flipping beats. They started this way and then they went the other way. Kanye was at the very beginning of the time when we recorded the College Dropout, and used to stay in the studio for hours and watch me how I arranged and produced my parts.
Wow.
And just going crazy. Yeah, it was very, very interesting. Everything was so raw. Also, it was everything was so fresh. We introduced new sound. It was like you said, we're pioneering that idea of having hip hop beats playing with live instruments. But I started it before my time with Kanye. You asked me how did I start, and I started by playing jazz. As a matter of fact, if you watch my performance on the Apollo, it was live at the Apollo. This is where everything started. I went on stage with a DJ. It was Wyclef Jean's DJ. It was during the time that I was working with Violinist, who also made me as the hip hop violinist. And I went on the Apollo stage, and I asked the DJ to be like shoulder to shoulder, which was it was crazy back in the days because no one had the DJ in the front, everyone had the DJ in the back, and the same with violin. You would never see violinists in the front of the stage.
Yeah,
you would see violinists like as like strings, like almost like decoration behind the artist. So there were we, a violinist and a DJ, and I really thought not that I was playing jazz. I thought I was jamming. I didn't even know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And we were flipping beats. I was a classically trained musician that studied in Israel since the age of 5. Came here to study jazz and did my original music that was beat, hip hop, dance, soul music. And I was still improvising and producing my own thing, just the same way that I was improvising on jazz music. So for me, it was all improvisation on all jazz, all jamming, all grooving. I didn't really understand the genres back in the day. I was such a pure musician versus the artist that I am today.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful how you put that. And the fact that you played the Apollo, which historically in New York is considered one of the toughest crowds. Like, I've heard that if you can wow the Apollo, if you can make it at the Apollo, you can pretty much make it anywhere. And you certainly have done that based on your impressive resume. Do you have a special...
So they said, actually, they all warned me before I went on stage on the Apollo. I have to say, I was such a rookie. I didn't even know what the Apollo was. And they all said, you have to watch out. It's a very tough audience. And I've been performing my entire life. And I love people. I love performing for people. And they kept saying it to me. And I kept saying, no, there is no such thing, bad audience. I mean, if people tell you the truth, if they're being honest, if they're, showing their emotions based on how you are on stage, then that's awesome. I love that. I love the energy. But I have to say, I got on the Apollo stage, and that was silence. Something else. It was something else now. No one, you couldn't, like, a pin drop you could hear when I got on the stage.
Wow.
I got on the stage, like, with my violin, and it was like everyone got quiet. And they looked at me, and I feel energy. I always feel energy on stage. And I felt they were like, all right, let's see what's he going to do.
No, and honestly, kudos to you for taking that chance, because I think you taking that opportunity really, I guess, snowballed into a lot of this, right? A lot of this opportunity, and the fact that you are coined the hip hop violinist, and again, there was a certain time period where you were popping up everywhere. Like, you were just, again, even looking at your resume, the fact that you've played the White House, the fact that you've done stuff, at Madison Square Garden, you've done collaborations with different companies like both Pepsi and Coca-Cola, which is hilarious, 2 competitors, and you managed to work with both. What do you like? And what's fascinating about the music industry, specifically when it comes to the world of hip hop is such a revered art form. Why, or instead of the question why, how do you think you were able to navigate that and be able to bring your violin to the conversation? Because now you're starting to see that more often. I have a good friend of mine. His name is Jibril. He's a tabla player, and for him, a lot. I do like to compare both of you because Gurpreet is a traditional tabla player. He's played all over India, but he has a band called Clocks where he brings his tabla into electronic music. And I find it's a very similar perspective to yours, where you're taking something that's very traditional, very classical, but you're able to broaden the scope, and you're able to use hip hop as a mechanism to get people to listen to violin who probably wouldn't listen to violin.
Hip hop was how I started. I basically, lack of better words, I pioneered the path of having musical instruments or traditional musical instruments going or playing along or being featured with popular genres. I was when I at the time when I got on the Apollo stage, I was the only one. And you measure success by watching so many people taking your footsteps. This is how I know that what I did worked. I have to say I've been the first one in many genres. Hip hop was the very beginning of me having what you call a commercial career with an album on Universal, the hit of Violinist, the one you just mentioned. But I was the song of the year in trance music with Armin van Buuren.
Amazing.
With the song Intense, and they played it everywhere. And we did major stadiums all over the world. And the community of trance music voted an instrumental song to become the song of the year in trance music, which is insane.
That's awesome.
Being featured in trance music and having a song that is not based on vocal winning that title. I got to play and record Madison Square Garden with the band Aventura in bachata, also featured on their album. And that was also revolutionary because the violin was featured not as a background instrument, but like an artist, you know. So that was my contribution to Latin music, commercial Latin music, I should say. And my very last endeavor with Afrobeat last year, my collaboration with Diamond Platinum.
Yeah, Afrobeat.
With the song Baila. Baila was actually #1 top 40 in Africa. It took Africa by storm.
Amazing.
It's a true collaboration between one of the biggest African artists in the world, featuring a violinist, myself. And it was the very first time you see in Afrobeat the violin being used the way that we used it and produced the song Baila. I'm also a co-producer on this song. So a lot of people don't really know. You ask me, how do I do all of this collaboration? So besides me playing the violin, I'm also a producer, engineer, programmer. I have my own studio where I basically collaborate with people. I don't even need to be in the same studio with producers these days. We just fly stands, to each other. Everything is digital from studio to studio, and we work together. We collaborate from different parts of the world, which is so cool because the world has become so small with technology.
Exactly.
I've done Baila production, with the production company in Tanzania, to my studio in New Jersey, and it felt like we were working together the entire time, and we won the African Award for Best Collaboration in 2019, just 2 months ago.
That is phenomenal. That is phenomenal. And I love how cross-genre your entire resume is. I think that's very much important. Miri, what advice would you give to somebody who maybe is playing the violin right now, but playing it in a symphony, or maybe taking violin lessons, or maybe someone who's playing another instrument like a piano, something a bit more traditional that's maybe has an interest in another genre and is maybe wondering or trying to think about how they can enter that genre in a way that's authentic, but also a way that's organic, that could open up maybe more ears to what they're doing?
Right. I think my path kind of worked in a sense that I was very classically trained, and it's something you cannot skip. I do believe that classical foundation is very important when it comes to musical instruments, because it gives you the technique and the skills to fly, if you wish to fly. And I also believe that my education when it comes to jazz music, it is what gave me the ability, the skills to improvise, as opposed to just, having kind of mediocre understanding or trying out things. Jazz music is really the highest form of improvisation. It's one of the most sophisticated, probably the most sophisticated type of music. And I've recorded 3 albums in jazz. Wynton Marsalis is on my very last album. I got to perform and record with legends, and that got me into my knowledge of harmony and arrangement and everything that I'm using right now in pop music.
Amazing. We like to theorize here on New Theory Radio, Miri, and I want to get your theories on a topic, and that's really around your theory as to why in this day and age, and we're going to use hip-hop music as an example because it's becoming more and more apparent within hip-hop, that you're seeing a lot more original compositions being produced, but then also being resampled. And the reason why I asked that is, you have producers like Frank Dukes who are now producing original music and are almost cutting a lot of the noise that exists when it comes to sampling existing work, when it comes to getting it cleared, when it comes to dealing with lawyers. And they're creating original music so that more and more people could use that music and be able to do whatever they want with it. And I'd love to get your theory as to why you think that's so important to the industry today. And is that something you agree with, or do you feel like a lot of these artists should maybe go and seek more artists like yourself and really learn the fundamentals of what goes into producing a track?
So as a producer, I have to give you the advantages and disadvantages of both. Because as much as I love organic music, instrumental music and music that is being played by musical instruments, I also love production. I love programming. I love samples. It's completely different sonic. It brings something completely different to the production. So it all depends, what are you going for? What type of sound you're going for? And what's important here is that I believe that my favorite producer are producers that are also musicians. So they sample, if they sample not because they cannot play it on the keyboard, or they cannot reprogram, or they cannot, get a session going where they create the organic sound. They sample because they're going for the sonic, it serves something in the song. So it comes by choice, not because they have to. They don't have any other choice. So like I said, I like both. I would tell you that clearing a sample is a pain. I've been recording and collaborating, especially in hip hop music, where when it's time to split publishing, you're looking at a sample and you go, "Oh my God, really?" Like you've done so much work, and yet the sample just takes so much of the publishing, and it makes no sense sometimes, and they have to go for it because. Hey, they used it and the label likes it, so there they are. It's annoying. I'm proud to say that in my own music, I never sample. I don't like to sample. I'd rather create the music that is going to be sampled. But that's me. I'm a purist. I have a new group right now. Speaking of Afrobeat, it's called Afro Strings with Z. It's
nice.
A very new group. It's thank you. It's a collaboration between myself and another artist/producer from Nigeria. He's Afro Strings, and together we are Afro Strings. And it's incredible collaboration where you really see how two producers come together and create Afrobeat music that has like a fresh sound. It reminds me of my beginning with Kanye West when we gave the genre a fresh new sound. So we dropped a single during the Christmas time that is on Spotify holiday playlist. It's called After Christmas. And we're actually dropping our first formal single next month, and it's going to be titled She Don't Know. And you should look out for it. You're going to love it. I already know. It has a very unique and organic sound. And the reason why I'm also bringing it up is that we do not sample. It's really all about creating the music. Doesn't matter how heavily it is being programmed. We like to play everything and program everything ourselves.
Awesome. And you will also be creating on March 13th at the Rose Theatre in Brampton. This is awesome because this is your Canadian tour. I saw you on Instagram. You pretty much laid out all the dates. You're not only you're really getting close to your fans, Miri, because a lot of them are probably in Toronto, but a lot of them are also outside of Toronto. And I love the approach that you're taking with this tour and the fact that you're visiting places like Oakville, and you're going to be coming to Brampton as well on March 13th. What can people expect with the show? Judging by your resume, we know that you're going to bring it. The fact that you played at the Apollo, I think an audience like the Rose Theatre will be definitely a lot easier on you. So, just curious, what can people expect?
Well, I think you mentioned before the two keywords, cross genres. That was a very, very good description of my show. It's definitely I'm taking you on a journey. of all the genres that I have performed, recorded, visited. It's really a great opportunity, almost like telling a story of audio and multimedia show. I do love multimedia. I love the combination of audio and visuals to take the audience into a journey of what could it be, almost like a soundtrack of a story, from classical to hip hop to dance music, Afrobeat. I have a special guest vocalist, a very talented young musician that is going to kill it, and I cannot wait for Brampton to check out. The live show is definitely everything. It's educational because it's violin. It's classical, but at the same time, it's fun. It's groovy. It's entertaining. I believe it's good for teenagers and their parents. It's actually one show they can all go together
Love it.
to watch and enjoy. It's clean as much as it is hip hop. I'm definitely going to flip some beats, but it's a clean show. It's fun. It's all about having fun and connecting with the audience. I do have some interactive parts when I ask the audience to sing. So,
excellent.
If you want to come and sing along and participate, I would love to see you in my show Brampton on March 13th. And the Rose Theater. How is the Rose Theater? I've never been there before.
The Rose Theater is beautiful. I actually, funny enough, I was there just last week to see a show, and it is a really awesome venue. I think, Miri, you're going to love it. I think you're going to love it so much, you're going to want to do a residency.
Really?
It's honestly one of the best venues, I think, outside of Toronto for what you'll be doing. It's a very intimate theater, but you know what? It's a beautiful setup. It is the cornerstone of downtown Brampton, so I think it's going to be a wonderful show, and I'm definitely going to do my best to be there because I want to witness what you do in person and how amazing you are when it comes to bringing all these genres together. And I'm also glad that this is a family friendly show because I think we need more of those types of events in Brampton, and I'm glad you're bringing that to the city. Before we kind of conclude this interview, Miri, what can we anything you want to plug, anything you want to push out? Obviously Afro Strings is going to be releasing some new music, but anything else that you would like to let the listeners of New Theory Radio and Saga 960 know before we conclude?
Of course, I would like to mention my social media because I'm going to post some pictures and videos from the tour, and I like to stay in touch with fans and hear their feedback. So it's at Miri Ben-Ari, and there's also my website, miribenari.com, where you can find out all information about this tour, how to buy tickets. I cannot wait to visit Brampton. I've never been to Brampton before, and I'm hearing wonderful things about the community of people. I hear they're very friendly over there.
Oh, we are. We are.
Very cool. I'm really looking forward to the show on March 13th. It's going to be fun. And and I know you wanted to play one more song. And so this song, I got to play around the world. It's where I use music to deliver messages, which is part of my philosophy, or maybe theory, since it's your show, to using music as a vehicle to deliver a message that is bigger than yourself. This one is delivering the message, the timeless message of Dr. Martin Luther King with a very legendary speech, I Have a Dream. I got to performing around the world. I even got invited to the White House by First Lady Michelle Obama to perform the song. She fell in love with the video. And this is a symphony of brotherhood.
Awesome. We'll definitely play that right now as we go into commercial break. And thank you, Miri Ben-Ari, again for joining us here on New Theory Radio. That's again, she is playing the Rose Theater in Brampton on March 13th. We'll have all the ticket information available in our podcast bio, and we'll also do a quick plug on our social media as well. Miri, thanks so much for joining us. And again, when you're in Brampton, we have a great food scene out there. So if you need any recommendations, shoot me a message.
I definitely do. I'm really very much looking forward to meeting you in person and meeting everyone.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much. And we'll be right back after this
New Theory Radio.
Test 1 2 1 2. And we are back here on New Theory Radio, here live on News Talk Saga 960 AM. Special thanks again to Miri Ben-Ari for joining me. That was a wonderful conversation. Truly honored to have talked to somebody that's actually worked closely on one of my favorite albums of all time, and she is fantastic. I urge you to go check out her show on Friday, March 13th. The Roast Eater website has more details as to where you can get tickets. We'll also provide some more details in the podcast description, but it's going to be fantastic. I managed to have a conversation with Marie actually off air, and she was telling me how immersive the actual experience is going to be when it comes to visuals, when it comes to crowd engagement, when it comes to the different genres that she's going to be presenting. So you do not want to miss this. It sounds like a cool show is coming through the Flower City, so go check it out. As well, special thanks to Jibril, Osman from the Studio One show, as well as Jay Parks from Stay Out Late for joining me earlier to talk about Disney and New Balance and meditation music. It was a really fun conversation. But before we conclude, I do want to make note that we are actually doing our another event. Yes, we are doing a social mixer series, and we're actually going to be kicking it off on March 21st. It is entitled Good Vibes, Good People. Now, if you listen to New Theory Radio, you know we like to theorize on all things current affairs, pop culture, and everyday life. But the true basis of our show is really good conversation. And to play on that good conversation piece, we want that to extend not only here on the show, but we want it to extend in person, which is what is the goal of Good Vibes, Good People. And it's really an opportunity to bring people together, have some good conversation, make it a no pressure environment, you know, really encouraging people to come as they are and just have a good time. You know, we don't want people to overthink this. We want people to come, catch a good vibe, listen to some good music. We got Avery Dark, who's a New Theory alumni. She's going to be spinning some tunes. She's going to bring her friend Introspect as well. Might have a special surprise performance or two. Going to have some other New Theory alumni in the house, as well as some Saga 960 AM personalities. So if you want to come hang with us, give us a shout. And if you want more details on the event, we currently have the link available on our Instagram page, but it is ntrgoodvibesgoodpeople.eventbrite.com. And tickets are only $5. So again, it's a no pressure environment. We're going to have really cool drink specials available. We're actually going to be announcing some cool sponsors that are getting involved in the event as well. So it's going to be a time. We urge you to check it out. It is $5, and then it will be $10 at the door. And that is Good Vibes, Good People, taking place at Friday Roots and Vibes. Yes, I thought I forgot about mentioning the venue. It's an amazing venue. It is owned by my good friend Raja Mystery. Friday Roots and Vibes is located at 876 Dundas Street. And you do not want to miss it. And we'll have more details in the podcast description. And with that said, this concludes this week's edition of New Theory Radio. So if you want to connect with me, it's at Nav Nanwa on Instagram, at N Nanwa on Twitter. If you want to connect with New Theory Radio, it's at New Theory Radio across all platforms. If you want to connect with Saga 960 AM, it is at Saga 960 AM across all platforms. If you want to connect with my photographer, it is at colorblind photography _ on Instagram. And last but not least, shout out to Dusty Loops at Dusty Loops for the instrumental. As always, it still bops even till this day, and it always gets me excited as we come in and out of commercial. It's a wrap. Thank you so much. Next week's a special International Women's Day episode of New Theory Radio, as I'm going to be joined by 3 amazing women. We will actually announce the names later in the week because I do want to keep it a surprise. But what I love about the show we have next week is that it's 3 amazing, hardworking women from different industries that are going to be joining me and sort of shedding light on what International Women's Day means to them. So thanks so much for tuning in, and you will hear all of us next time. Peace.